Okay, so today's lesson is an expansion on yesterday's lesson when we were solving equations with variables on both sides. Okay, and so today my learning target is that we can determine if an equation has either no solutions or is an identity. And a lot of these are visible by observation, but I'm going to show and we're going to prove it. Now, the identity in math is when something is equal to itself. That is what identity means. It's identifying it. That some things are always equal to themselves. 1 is equal to 1, 2 is equal to 2, etc. Or, for example, x is equal to x. And so in my example problem, I'm just going to solve it and see what happens. So I've got 2x plus 3 is equal to 2x plus 4. I'm going to solve this just like normal. Okay, and so when I try to do that, I've got an x on both sides, and the problem is I need to get rid of one of the x's first. So I'm going to get rid of a 2x. It doesn't really matter which one I choose, right, because they're both 2x. So to get rid of a positive 2x, I'm going to subtract 2x. That's going to make this 0. And also 2x minus 2x on this side becomes 0. So what I am left with is 3 is equal to 4. Now the problem here is that defies my identity, right? 3 is not equal to 4, ever. So in this case, I do not have a solution for x. There is no x that's going to satisfy or balance these equations. So this one is a no solution type of problem. And you can represent that in several ways. We have no solution written out, no solution abbreviated, or 0 with a line through it. No solution. Now you'll notice two things happen here. First, both the x's dropped out, left me with no variables. Okay, when I lose my variables, then it's not possible for me to have value for those variables. So that means that I don't have a solution sometimes. Now, in this case, I defied my identity, right? 3 equals 4 is not true. That is not an impossible thing. And that just means that for no matter what value I try to plug in for x, these two sides are never going to balance. If I plug in 1, this side will be 5, and this side will be 6. If I plug in 2, this side will be 7, and this side will be 6. No, I'm sorry, 8. So it's always going to be slightly different. So they can never be balanced. They can never be equal. All right, in my second example, the first thing I have to do is get rid of this negative sign. Negative is an implied negative 1, so I'm going to distribute in a negative 1. So I get negative t, positive 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, equals negative t minus 5. Okay, I'm going to try to solve this. So if I add t to both sides, this t drops out and becomes 0. Negative t plus t. I can add the 1's in, but that's still going to drop out and become 0, and I'm left with negative 5 equals negative 5. Now in this case, this solution, no matter what I plug in for t, I'm going to get a balanced equation. If I plug in 1, I'll get 6 equals negative 6. If I plug in, negative 6 equals negative 6. If I plug in 2, I'll get negative 7 equals negative 7. This is what we call identity, right? So up here, identity meant that something equal to itself. So whenever I end up with this, my answer is just identity. Okay? Now formally, something like this, and it also implied, because I can put anything in for t, we can have a condition called infinitely many solutions. So there's two possibilities here, but for the sake of our class, we're going to use identity. It means that these two equations are equal to each other, or these two expressions are equal to each other. Okay, and sometimes you can pick these out, because looking up here, before I even solve this side of my equation was already equal to this side. I've got negative t minus 5 equals negative t minus 5. So it shouldn't matter what I do, whatever I plug in for t, it's gonna balance. So this one would have been an identity. Now in this case, what we were looking for, we saw that there was a 2x here, a 2x here, and then the numbers being added to them were different. So that, again, looking to see, is the variable the same? And If so, is the entire equation the same? That will determine what our answer is between no solution or identity. And to answer the question, what happened in both of these cases? Well, when we solved it, the variable dropped out. It was no longer useful to us, so it went away. All right. So for tomorrow, I want you guys to practice with these 6 problems for tomorrow. Now remember, some of them might be one of these 2 things up there, and some of them might not. So you have to solve them all and use what you know to give me an answer. No solution, a solution, or an identity. All right. Have a good night.